So we're out here in Pau, in the Pyrenees in France. It's my first ever street circuit. At the minute, as you can see, we're just out, well, we've just done a track buggy. It's a street circuit. Never done an interview like this. Well, there's cars coming past. This is going to be like pure driving, if you know what I mean. It's like, there's no run off. If I make a mistake, I'm in the wall. That's it. So obviously now I'm not in my wheelchair. Dad came on the track with us at Paul Ricard and he realised that it was going to be a bit of an issue. But it's just been my birthday recently. So now I've got this little track scooter that's been pimped up, and it's really good actually because I can still go at like walking pace speed on it without losing my balance too much. I'm confident that I can do a good job here and I know what to expect, and we've done our preparation, so we're just going to have to see how it pans out really. It's over to you then, Neil. Yeah. I didn't accidentally run away. Yeah. The extraction test is focusing on getting me out of the car if you've had a bad accident. Because this weekend's a street circuit, all the marshals are different, which means they need to be up to speed on how to extract all of us drivers out of our cars, especially for me with my disabilities. To have other people getting me out of the car was weird.
Oh my God.
And then having a lot of French people's private parts quite close to me was a bit of a different experience.
Oh my God. Is it over? My hotel's up the top of the hill. It's alright.
Mate, I've not done that before. That's a new experience.
I like the...
Yeah, that's it. I was like, I'm going. I'm hoping it's going to be a bit changeable, the weather. Make it interesting, otherwise it's going to be a bit like follow the leader sort of. It's hard to overtake around here. We shall see. I was keeping an eye on the weather because I knew that it was meant to be raining later on in the day. I was just making sure I was really focused because I wanted to do a better job than I had done in qualifying. I was disappointed with quality. I wanted to go out there and prove a point that that's not where we deserve to be.
Perhaps put the thoughts of the championship to the back of your mind, because really what matters most here is the title of Pau Grand Prix winner. It's a title we've been awarding for over 80 years. This race has been won by the likes of Tazio Nuvolari, Juan Manuel Fangio, and more recently Lewis Hamilton.
Just after my mechanics left to leave the grid, I was gutted because I came on the radio saying, guys, it's raining too much, I want to put the wets on now. We didn't make the cut to do it on the grid, so my engineer and me were discussing it on the outlap. There was enough water that there was spray, and I've grown up in the UK, so karting, most weekends were always wet weather. I knew that it was too wet for slicks.
Billy Monger, I believe, that is heading into the pits, and so is Nikolai Kiergaard, and from the back of the grid, Aldo Fastante. Looks to me like they're going to be taking the gamble of starting on wet weather tyres. The other 12 drivers are all set to start the race, and let's go, and Julian Hanses gets away fairly well. Yuki Tsunoda is away cleanly too. How are they going to be as they come through turn one? Tsunoda's slotted into second.
As I came out of the pits, there was probably about a 20-second gap just to the next car in front of me, so I knew that I had a lot of ground to make up. Luckily, in some ways, the safety car came out.
The drivers are not allowed to try and race for position on the first lap of the race.
That bunched everyone back up together. I was in 14th place.
And there the green flag waves, and there they can resume racing.
And then I had 13 cars in front of me and like 20 odd laps to overtake them all. Point that my engineer Neil came over the radio and said, you're P7. At that point there I knew that I'd made the right call and that the wets were coming into their own. I kind of took a deep breath and was like, yeah, on to the next one, let's do this. Let's get on with it.
And Monger, sure enough, is down the inside and into 6th position. And we are actually getting some reports of drizzle down towards the pit lane area. It looks like the rain gods may be favouring Billy Monger on this one. Our race leaders clinging on their slick tyres, and Billy Monger absolutely flying on his wet.
As much as a racing driver, all you're about is driving to the limit and taking as many risks as possible. In the situation I was in, it was like, I'm going to get past these guys. I know it, I'm going to pass them. I know I'm going to win this race. But you've got to keep it on track and you've got to use your head here. Sonoda was very good at positioning his car in the right spot. Even with the advantage I had, it was still going to be tough to overtake him. And I almost hit the back of him when I made the pass on him into the last chicane. He braked so early because he was on the slick tyres, so I had to dive up the inside of him.
Munger moves up into 3rd position.
The front two were quite close then and they were battling. So at that point I was like, yeah, this is fine. 2 clean overtakes, you're in the lead. My engineer was informing me as I was going through what the gap was to the other wet runners, because they were going to be the guys that were going to be closest to me at the end of the race. Like, I pulled out a massive margin.
They're approaching the chicane where he made that stunning pass on Sonoda, and he is having a try. He launches down the inside, the teammates collide! The 2 motor park drivers off, and that was Billy Monger going past them into the lead of the Pole Grand Prix.
It was frustrating for them two to crash because I knew I could have passed them cleanly, but I ended up having a safety car restart. The 2 guys behind me were both running on wets, so I'm like, oh God, here we go. Now we're in for a proper race.
The race is underway once again, and Billy Monger holds the lead ahead of Nikolai Kiergaard.
At this point as well, I damaged my car. I skimmed the wall from turn 3 under the bridge. The streaks of Poe gave me a bit of luck, I'd say, on that one. They were forgiving. I felt in good control. I felt like I had a pace advantage over Nikolai. The heart was going a little bit.
This will be his first ever win in single-seaters in the Pole Grand Prix itself, which is a huge achievement.
It is looking very much like being that as he accelerates out through the chicane where the 2 motor park drivers crashed. It has been a stunning performance from Billy Monger. He sees the checkered flag. He wins the 78th running of the Pole Grand Prix. What an outstanding drive by Billy Monger, the young man who was so cruelly injured in that terrible crash.
Seeing all the marshals cheering me, all the fans, it was like a real emotional moment.
Come on! Come on! Yeah! Come on! Oh, mate, you've done it! You've done it! Come on! Oh my God. To see how emotionally invested everyone else was in what had happened. It wasn't just a driver and his family celebrating, it was like 30, 40 people from a team surrounded by all these amazing fans and members of other teams. It was like that moment where everyone comes together, and it was just pretty special. I won't forget it. I wouldn't be here today without the guys at Carlin. No one really understands the amount of effort and time that goes into making my car work because of how different it is. That right there was probably the best feeling I've ever had in my life.